Adamantium Rage!
Adamantium Rage!
Adamantium Rage! Adamantium Rage! Come on! Adamantium Rage!
Adamantium Rage!
Adamantium Rage!
Adamantium Rage!
Adamantium Rage! Adamantium Rage! Adamantium Rage!
Ow! Hey, it worked!
Adamantium Rage!
Adamantium Rage! Hello?
Hello, this is Jonathan with Consumer Services calling.
Adamantium Rage!
Adamantium Rage!
Hey, what you guys doing? What are you guys doing?
Adamantium Rage!
So what are you guys doing?
It's an internet thing?
Have fun with that.
Oh, too much adamantium rage.
Wake up!
Come on, we gotta get this thing over with.
So,
Now I know how Wolverine feels.
Except we don't heal.
No, we don't.
And neither does he, for that matter, in this film. But we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yep.
so,
Yes, we saw the Wolverine, or I should say Wolverine 2?
Quickening?
Or X-Men 4? 5?
6.
I don't even know what number they're at this point.
I think that's why they stopped numbering after like 2, because it's like we're just going to keep doing more X-Men movies, so they just stopped keeping track of it. But
Well, the thing is, after X3, all they did was prequels until this movie. And this is... It's an X-Men movie, but it's strictly Wolverine, mostly like it would be in the comics.
like timeline-wise, it takes place like a few years after the events of X-Men 3, of X-Men: The Last Stand. So
yeah, our first actual sequel since then.
yeah, really. But it's all focused on Wolverine, and that's what I actually kind of liked about this movie, because it's not like X-Men Origins Wolverine, where it was just you had Wolverine, but there was like so many other like really well-known mutants from the X-Men universe. I mean, you had Gambit was in it, you had Deadpool, you had, there was all these other mutants.
Scott Summers, Emma Frost for some reason.
Sabretooth.
Yeah, Sabretooth as his brother.
So there wasn't really any time to really just focus on the Wolverine character in that movie. But here, in the Wolverine, it's just more focused on him. Yeah, there are other characters, but
there's only one other mutant. So
yeah, that's the thing. There's only one other mutant. Everyone else is human, because like Wolverine gets like an assistant, sort of like
a bodyguard, as she calls herself.
Yes, but she's not really a mutant per se.
No, she's just really skilled.
Yeah.
Yeah, the theme of this movie is past mistakes and lessons on not helping people.
Or helping them. I don't
Well,
know.
Like what they were trying to do with Iron Man 3, but only this time this one works.
Sort of. Because, this movie sort of adds more shit to Wolverine's list and more stuff that he's got to live with every day. And in a way it is depressing, but in another way it does make for a good story. Because, yeah, Wolverine has to deal with something from his past. Again, he's still suffering from all the events from X-Men 3 with having to kill Jean and all that. So
spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it. The third X-Men movie.
I think everyone knew that. It's Jean. She always dies. That's not a spoiler.
No. Well, we're going into spoiler territory anyway, so no point.
And if we haven't.
Yeah.
But yeah, Wolverine pretty much just goes into seclusion at this point, becomes like a mountain man.
Makes friends with a bear.
He just goes into solitude.
Yeah.
It's funny when they make the transition from like past to present, and I see him with his like long mad hair. I'm like, wait, did they just put on Les Mis? Are we watching the beginning of movies? Is this Jean Valjean?
Look down, look down.
Look in the eye. That could be him with the bear. Like, but that scene's actually kind of funny because he's just walking along and then he sees a bear. It's like, sup, bear.
That's the most chill bear I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's just like, sup, Wolverine, sup, bear.
We tight like that.
But then some Canadian hunters decide to kill the bear and don't do it properly.
They do not do it with honor.
Yeah.
What's attacking it the real way?
They pretty much, instead of just, killing the bear and killing it.
Yeah, like tracking it down and killing it.
Yeah, instead of doing the honorable hunting, they just stick a poison dart in it and leave it to suffer. So Wolverine gets all pissy about it because he has to kill the bear himself despite the fact that he really doesn't want to kill anymore.
Yeah, that's one of the things after the events of X-Men 3, he's now in that whole state of mind of, oh, I'm never going to kill anyone ever again. We're like, you're the fucking Wolverine. We know you're going to break this, like, immediately.
In, like, the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, the first person that pisses you off, yeah, they're dead.
Yeah, so he goes to seek justice, but when he's meeting with the hunters, our new character Yukio. Yeah, she comes in and she's like, no, don't bother with them. They're just gonna die anyway. And I think they're about to attack her, but she shows off her sword play, and yeah, nobody's gonna bug her. And she basically takes Wolverine off.
Yeah, the whole big thing of this movie is that Wolverine has been summoned to Japan to say goodbye to an old friend that is dying. And this is actually a man who is in charge of this big corporate industry who Wolverine saved when he was a soldier in World War II, back when the U.S. dropped the bomb on Nagasaki. So he goes to see the old guy, and the guy, like, of course, we know he's not just bringing him all the way to Tokyo just to say goodbye. He obviously wants something, and that is for Wolverine to give up his immortality, give it to the old man who is dying, so Wolverine can live a normal life.
Which, in a sense, it's actually a good trade, especially considering what happens later on. It would have worked out so much better for Wolverine, but instead Logan's like, no, you don't want what I got. No. I have a curse. No, you don't want to live forever, trust me. And I'm not even going to bother thinking it over or anything, Well,
I mean, on the one hand, like, yes, like, nobody should really have to encounter that sort of, like, immortality, because, once you run out of things to live for, your life pretty much becomes meaningless, and you can do nothing but wait and hope for death. But at the same time, this guy has, like, a company. He has, like, this billion-dollar industry that, could use the man who created, like, his intellect for years to come. Like, I'm pretty sure had we invented immortality at this point, Bill Gates and Steve Jobs would definitely be hopping on that bandwagon. But, at the same time, like, Wolverine, like, we've seen the type of shit he's had to deal with. We've seen all the horrific injuries he's encountered and will encounter. And honestly, I don't think becoming mortal would take any of that away.
I don't think so either.
But on at the same token, he'd still he'd get to finally live a normal life, get to settle down with someone and not have to worry about, you know, people following him around, people
he'd
trying to
always
kill
have
him.
to worry about that, because it's not like...
Well, he could go off into seclusion. He wouldn't... I don't know.
Well, that's the thing, that he couldn't live a normal life. The point is, Wolverine cannot live a normal life. He's made way too many enemies over the... How many centuries has he been alive?
Plus, also, the immortality doesn't take away from the fact that he has, like, claws. It has claws coming out of his knuckles.
Yeah, now that shit's gonna, like, really hurt, especially since he can't heal from that once he tracks him.
But the point, the point I'm trying to make is it's a pretty good trade, all things considered.
I mean, yes, like, this technically is the happy ending you want for Logan. You know, given how hard his life has been, this is, like, would sort of be his happy ending, but when you look at the, you know, the realism in it, and based on his whole backstory, it would just be impossible, and heck, it would probably get him killed quicker.
Yeah, but...
yeah, it's like yeah, he'd be immortal, but for how long?
At least he wouldn't have to suffer anymore.
He'd suffer regardless.
Yeah,
but
the suffering would end.
I guess.
The suffering would end at some point.
He's like a freaking masochist, though.
Yeah.
I think he's become a masochist by this point.
Pretty much. But yeah, so
he goes to Japan with Yukio to say his farewells, but Wolverine finds out that no, the guy wants his immortality, and Wolverine's like, no, you don't want what I have. But then shortly thereafter, we find out that the guy
Yoshida,
Yashida, that Yashida dies shortly afterwards, and they go to his funeral, and
his granddaughter tries to kill herself after finding out that her grandfather has passed.
But there's a reason why she wanted to kill herself, and
we should also mention that the granddaughter's name is Mariko, because she's very important.
Yes.
Yes.
So they go to the funeral. You know, they find out a little bit more that Mariko's fiance is like the head of the Ministry of Defense or something.
Something like that. He's some sort of high-ranking political figure, and it's an arranged marriage essentially.
Mm-hmm. And then also the scientist, and there's the doctor who...
Yeah, evil... We're not giving anything away. You can already tell.
We'll call her Dr. Evil.
Well, she has a name.
Yeah,
Viper.
Yeah.
Is it Viper or is it the Viper?
No.
And then she come to wish to wash to wipe the windows. I mean...
No, she's
sorry,
Dr. Evil. I'm sorry.
No, she's not. She's trying to disguise that she's evil, but doing a poor job. To the fact where during the funeral,
she's too hot to not be evil.
No, during the funeral, she's like all smiles and taking pictures. It's like, look how bright and shiny I am. It's like, okay, you're evil. We get it.
Villain.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Also, the way she dresses.
It is extremely easy to point out the bad guys in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, not just Dr. Evil, but there is Yoshida's son. Now, he technically should be the next in line to inherit the company, but for reasons, his father ended up passing over him and giving all the fortune to his
Mariko.
Yeah, to his daughter. And... like, for as soon as you see him, like, as his father's laying, like, you know, dying in like, the doctor's office, like, the guy's out there, like, just practicing kendo with someone else, and you see how ruthless he's being, and he's like, who's that? And Wolverine's like, who's that guy? And he's like, oh, that's his son. And it's like, and then you see the guy, like, wallop him, and then look at Wolverine all, like, stern and everything, and I'm like, oh, this bad guy, yep, I'm calling her right now.
Yeah.
And who else was a bad guy in that? Oh, of course, you know, the arranged fiance has to be a dick. Yeah. That's like a standard rule in movies. If the marriage is arranged, then obviously the fiance has to be a dick. Because, you know, got to set up the romance for, you know, the arranged bride and then some other person she has a subtle attraction to. And, of course, you know, we have to make sure that the one she's supposed to marry looks horrible at all costs. Who Which they do show later on by having him party with these two floozies in a hotel room in his underwear.
But we'll get to that.
Thank you.
So
I wanted to see that. I really did.
So he's more of a dick. So he is a dick in more ways than one.
And he's a politician, so it makes sense.
Yeah. The puns just keep coming.
Yep.
But anyway, so at the funeral, the Yakuza comes in and just starts shooting him up and they try to kidnap Mariko. Wolverine comes in and starts comes in, blades going like there's this big awesome action sequence.
They keep shooting at him and he keeps like going
Like the cinematography obviously like slows down. It's like goes into slow-mo, like what's going on? Like he's like, is he like feeling pain? Like is he dying or something? Like because in an earlier scene, he gets this weird dream or whatever, or gets something like
he's dreaming about Jean, and then it turns to the doctor without her disguise, just putting her tongue down his throat, and he starts choking.
That is one hell of a wet dream.
Yeah, but then shortly after, right, and he wakes up to find out that the Yoshida has just passed.
So that's anyway, so Wolverine is like feeling pain for the first time ever, like mortal pain, and during that whole thing, like he tries to catch up with the Yakuza and
there's like a guy on the rooftop shooting at doing like crossbow and
we're just gonna call him like Japanese Hawkeye because that's what he kind of reminded me of. That's pretty much what it was like. So Japanese Hawkeye is taken off, because he's vowed to protect Mariko, and so he's doing whatever he can, jumping rooftop to rooftop, picking off as many Yakuza as he can, as they're chasing down the streets. And like I said,
meanwhile the doctor's just taking pictures. For whatever reason.
We know she's evil. We know she's evil,
Wolverine catches up with Mariko. Mariko says, no, I can take care of myself. Gets on a train. Wolverine gets on a train with her, and then the Yakuza start coming back on the train. And then there's...
But the whole thing is, like, she's trying to get to the safety of a house of hers in, what was it, Nagasaki?
Yeah, outside Nagasaki.
A summer home.
Yes. Which Wolverine essentially says, for the point, for those of us who are actually smart, how stupid of an idea that is.
Because this is totally not going to bite her in the ass later.
Yeah. It's like, don't go to any place off the grid that isn't already owned by your family. Oh no!
Yeah, don't go to a police task force or go to like some sort of like
or to some friend of yours that has absolutely no idea what's going on. Don't take yourself off the grid completely.
But she doesn't listen to Wolverine. So so the Yakuza come in on the train, and then there's this really cool they're on the high speed train, and then
I think was pretty cool.
Like at one point they're on the top of the train. They're going 300 miles an hour. Wolverine's hanging on, and the Yakuza's one of the guys is hanging on with the knife, and he's like.
I can imagine how much that must have hurt. Because at this point Wolverine realizes he's not healing properly after getting injured, and now all of a sudden he's clinging to the train with his claws, which again aren't healing properly at 300 miles per hour. That's like holding on by your fingertips, and they're slowly they're slowly being ripped out of your hands. Ow. But that was a pretty cool scene. Me and Doug actually saw it in 3D, and that's
I actually made
the scene look cooler.
Pretty good, yeah.
Oh,
I also saw it in 3D as well, and that actually did look pretty cool.
I thought the 3D overall actually looked good with this movie. It actually did work in times.
It did, but I mean, a lot of the slow scenes, and there's quite a number of them, and it works here, even though it's it's X-Men, it's action, but here they take time. Here they actually took time to slow down, build character development, especially with Wolverine, and that's what I kind of liked about it, because they actually They gave us the ability to breathe.
Yeah.
And a lot of opportunities. And there was a lot of awesome action sequences, and it doesn't drag on for too long.
And it's not trying to be overly funny, like a lot of the comic book movies have been trying to do. So
I mean, even the early X-Men movies tried,
Yeah,
like the first.
it's not.
X-Men movie.
It's not like throwing jokes at you all the time, like say Iron Man is doing, or you know.
Yeah, the humor. The humor kind of.
There is humor in this.
The humor flows and it's organic, and you know.
There is humor in this, but it's a lot less than a lot of the other superhero movies have been.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in any case, which is why I lead up to it's like so they get off the next station and Wolverine's like, okay, we should probably just go to some random hotel, not even like big fancy one, just whatever we find. It's like, what's this place? It's a hotel. Good, let's go here.
And then he looks at the rooms and like, huh? What's all this? And then Mariko explains it's a
couple's hotel.
It's a love hotel, as in it is one of those
fantasy.
Yeah, it's one of those hotels that is designed for like the couple who wants to experiment. Like they have a dungeon room, and they have Mars and outer space room,
Mission to Mars,
Mission to Mars, and a few other like kinky rooms.
Yeah.
So of course they go with the least uncomfortable one.
Yeah, they go with the Mars one, the space one.
I'm just looking at that and I'm like, God damn it, Japan. Granted, that would probably be a very popular destination in America, but
I think there are hotels like that in America. I think that have like those themed like rooms.
Yeah, I think so. I think we had an episode of The Simpsons that showed one.
I was just thinking that. Like, wasn't this an episode of The Simpsons? Go to the utility room. So they go there. They crash for the night.
Well, at least she does. At least Mariko does. Wolverine is not going to be sleeping.
No,
or not by his own power anyway.
Yeah, unfortunately, getting pumped full of lead does take its toll, especially on someone who can no longer heal. Mm-hmm. So naturally, he succumbs to blood loss and faints. But just so happens that the hotel has emergency surgery for that type of thing.
Yeah, really.
Well, no, I think they go by the hotel owner has a relative that is a veterinarian.
Like his son her son is a veterinarian.
So yeah, they take him there, and apparently in his sleep he clawed the veterinarian a few times while he was performing, trying to sew up the wounds.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's to be expected.
Yeah. But he tries to shake the guy's hand and
no, we're cool.
So yeah, then in the morning they head over to her summer home.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why they still go there.
Yeah.
Because Wolverine stated explicitly that, hey, that is a dumb plan. They know where this place is located. They'll know where to find you. Then they go to the hotel, and then after that it's like, yeah, let's just go where you wanted to go. It's like, why?
Yeah, it's like, even if they don't know exactly where you're going, it would not be hard for them to find you. I mean, the guy even says, we are on, a narrow island, and the trains only go north and south. So, they can only be in certain places. Mm-hmm. So, it could not be long before they would be found out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and then that leads to this whole thing, because I believe Mariko shows up in the comics, right?
Yes, she is in the comics.
So naturally, she becomes the new love interest for Wolverine, who is still aching over Jean.
Yes.
I gotta bring that up, and it's like, I know people are gonna correct me on this, but I still really do not see the point of Jean being in this movie, or at least being present consistently throughout it.
Yeah, the only thing it is it's sort of like guilt on Wolverine's conscience that he had to kill her.
Like, the guy doesn't have enough shit to do with it.
But on the other hand, he knew full well that if he didn't kill her, she was going to continue killing people.
And him.
Yeah, so you had to do it. You had to!
Like, I realized the whole point.
Didn't Jean asked him to kill her near the end of X-Men 3? I mean,
Like, I know this is supposed to sort of set up that Wolverine is sort of losing his mind, based on what happened in the third movie, and it's supposed to help represent the theme that this movie is eventually moving towards with, having to kill someone, that you care about. So, but, I don't know, for me, I really hated the fact that every single time she appeared, she was always in bed, in a sleek nightgown, always acting out of character, and basically just acting like, his, fantasy fulfillment. Like, I realize, again, Logan...
Because Wolverine's a dude?
I know, I realize he's a guy, this is what guys dream of, and, all that, but it's like, if you're gonna have her keep popping up, maybe a few scenes where she just looks normal, where, she sort of shows up as a ghost or something, like, does she have to keep, appearing like this?
Yeah, but I
think
it's also
Logan, why did you kill me?
I think it's also to hammer in the fact, too, that if he dies, he can finally be with her.
That's probably the main reason why.
It's so many things, but it's all wrong.
It's like, Logan, kill yourself and we'll finally make love. Even though we're dead, we probably can't feel it.
But let me ask you guys this. Would this have worked better if they did, say, flashbacks or, maybe weird dream sort of thing?
I don't know about flashbacks, given that they, aside from that brief time where she tried to seduce him as when she was Phoenix, they didn't really have any intimate scenes.
I mean, a flashback as, the moment when Wolverine killed her from, X-Men 3.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I don't know, it would have been better if they kept that at the beginning and then maybe brought it up again at the end.
Or maybe in the middle.
But it's like every time he falls asleep or passes out, she's suddenly there and it's the same exact situation and she's repeating the same exact dialogue. It's like, you killed me, Logan, but if you kill yourself, we can be together. And it's like, shut the fuck up. We get it.
And I think it's also to, make it so that he's having these night terrors and says her name out loud so that Mariko hears him.
Yeah, even Mariko's who's Jean?
But even that in the long run is pointless because he barely says anything about her. He
doesn't really say it. He doesn't say... I don't think he says anything about who Jean is.
He says, I killed her. And it's like, you were killing people, Jean. I had to do it. Mm-hmm. So that's the extent of what, in the real world, Jean comes out to be.
I just love after he says that to Mariko, he's like, I killed her, that she's still cool with laying beside him.
I would have been
there's a scene where but then again, he wakes up and the blades are out and Mariko's it's like da da da.
I'm like, wow, girl.
Well, I think she was trying to calm him down and obviously felt seductive too.
I know, but any normal person upon seeing that would
be
a little bit scared.
They would flinch.
Would, back away a little bit. But she just, lays there and is like, oh, you're whipping out your clothes again. That's cool. Oh, you killed your past girlfriend? We make mistakes.
No, my whole, what I took out of that was that she was just trying to calm him down and,
I know, but I understand if she wants to calm down, after the initial shock, try to, calm him down, but the fact that she's calm from the beginning after he whips out these fucking things right next to her while she's sleeping, can you really, be calm about that? I mean, especially since this is the first night they're sleeping together.
I think she was also kind of aware because her grandfather had told her stories about Logan. So I think she kind of knew what to expect, but really, it's there's being told about it and actually experiencing it in real life, and I think even if you'd been told about something, you'd still flinch at least.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It just goes to prove that you put a woman in a bed in a nightgown in an X-Men movie, they're gonna act out of character.
Somehow, but But during that but even before that, we get to find out Mariko's actually her actual role in the entire, her whole significance in this whole film, and that's the reason why Mariko tried killing herself at the beginning of the film was that Mariko is the heir to the
fortune, to the company.
So now Wolverine's like, so that's why everybody's after her, because she's now the
target. She is the freaking target because Yoshida was already a target, but just by the Yakuza, really. I don't think anybody else was going to try and kill him off. Mm-hmm. But I guess probably the reason why, maybe he told the rest of his family what he was planning to do. I'm not sure.
He wrote the grandfather wrote everything down in a will.
Well, I meant that what he was planning to do in terms of getting, the immortality.
I guess.
Which is probably why.
it was kind of obvious, given he was like putting a lot of his fortune into research on adamantium and all like this stuff, which almost like ended up bankrupting his company.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the point is, father first sees Logan. Why he gives him that look is like because he probably knew that if Logan was there, it meant that all was going to go according to plan, and that Yoshida would become immortal, and he'd get to keep the company forever.
Yeah.
Which would ultimately screw him. So he probably didn't know about the will, though he probably assumed that he was going to be handed down. So when he sees that, that Wolverine is there and that he's going to be what makes Yoshida immortal, then he would, he would lose everything. So he'd be like really angry at Wolverine for coming. Because he was hoping that Wolverine would never show up and that the grandfather would die. But yeah, but the point is, like, even before, like, Yukio already explained that people were targeting Yoshida, that the Yakuza was targeting Yoshida, and they've got all these bodyguards around the house.
Another title this movie should have had is Everyone Wants to Kill Mariko.
Yeah.
Because seriously, every single character, with the exception of Wolverine and Yukio?
Yeah, Yukio.
Wants her dead. And we find this out because when Mariko does end up getting kidnapped, as was going to happen given they went to a very obvious location, Wolverine captures one of the goons, has him, makes him reveal who he worked for and like who he's hired by, and it was, of course, her fiance. And so Wolverine goes to the fiance, threatens him to like spill the beans on like who wanted him to kill Mariko, and he's like, "Oh, it was her father." Gasp! We didn't see that coming. And of course, her father wants her dead because she gets all the inheritance. So
in a funny scene, Wolverine grabs the minister and throws him out of the window. You have 10 words, and if I don't like what you've got to say, you're going out the window.
And then he says something like, "How many words was that?"
9.
All right, you have one word. And then he says.
So he basically coughs up the information, and Wolverine still throws him out the window
and lands into a pool.
How did you know that pool would be there? I didn't.
That was brilliant. That was pretty funny. But then when Mariko does get kidnapped by the Yakuza and is taken back to her father, all of a sudden an army of ninjas comes in and takes out the Yakuza. Because the ninjas are working for the Viper. Working for the Viper. So because the Viper needs Mariko alive for the giant silver samurai warrior thing.
Also, we forgot to I think we forgot to mention that the Archer was an old boyfriend of Mariko's.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of important. Yeah, because basically They fell in love. They wanted to get married, but they had to call it off because the father wanted her to marry someone.
The minister did.
Yeah, so that they'd actually get, more power.
Yeah,
They'd
political
become-
power,
yeah,
that kind
so-
of thing. So
basically, he's in league with Viper. So he's
as
like
an army of ninjas.
Yeah,
I, like
the army of ninjas.
I love the army of ninjas. They just
Yeah.
come and just start like just taking everybody out. I'm like, this is awesome.
That's weird. I didn't understand the guy's motives the first time. Like, cause
Like it almost like
I thought
the
like
father or
no, the archer dude. Because
yeah.
at first it was, oh, he's secretly protecting this girl who he obviously is in love with, and you see him like fighting.
I thought he was like hired by the father to protect her.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Like I figured he was either hired or he was there of his own free will.
No, I think he was hired.
I guess, but either way, he was on their side. You see him like shooting the Yakuza with his arrows and helping Wolverine out and everything, and all of a sudden you realize he's on the side of the bad guy, and he kills everyone in Mariko's family that's left, and all her bodyguards and stuff, and then pretty much hands her over to the bad guy, who pretty much makes it obvious she's gonna kill her. I'm like, wait, you love her, but you're sending her to her death. I don't get it.
Although when they actually do have her kidnapped, she never actually kills, or really, like, the only thing is she sticks her in the neck and she passes out, but they put her to bed and she
That
wakes
was
up.
one hell of a fake out.
That
Yeah,
was weird.
That was weird.
It's like, okay, I thought you wanted to kill her. What is
No,
it?
they need her alive for something.
Why do you need her alive?
You really don't, especially once they reveal the twist later on.
Yeah, it's like if you could have like told her to fake her death or something, the ultimate outcome would have essentially stayed the same. It's just that, she wouldn't have power or anything.
Like, I could understand keeping her alive if they wanted her to be the face of the company and they sort of, like, control her from the back or something.
But they never make anything
They-
clear.
Yeah, they never really mentioned
They
that.
never
That actually would
say
make
why.
sense.
Mhm.
They never say why they want her alive. They say why they want to target her, but they do not say why they want to keep her alive.
Yeah, it's
Well-
confusing, so...
No. It also goes... What it could be is also that it goes to the ex-boyfriend. Because he did say, it's like, well, now that your father's dead, we can be together.
No, he did. Yeah, because because the archer didn't realize that the father was alive.
Yeah, well, essentially he was going to kill the father, and then I guess the two of them would have been together.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he stated that he knows that the woman is evil and thus will obviously double-cross him. That just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know, the whole motivations is fucked up for that guy.
It's very unclear.
Yeah.
It's incredibly unclear. But basically, yeah, so they go into the Evil Lair, and
Yeah, like Wolverine charges all badass into this deserted village that
Gets, like-
has a million ninjas, and he takes them all on single-handedly.
And, like,
they
shooting all
shoot
the
all these darts, all these
arrows at him.
Like, we skipped something.
I know. We skipped the scene
Big thing.
where he finds out that the reason why he's become immortal is because he had this like bug thing around his heart that's kind of
Because there was like when he first goes to see Yashida, before he dies, there were like these little nanite insect things in jars.
I guess.
And when he goes back to the house to save Mariko, they're not in the jars anymore. So he decides to X-ray himself.
And he finds out that he has one of them in his heart, and it's preventing him from,
But Yukio has had a vision of his death, but it's not a clear vision. But she says he dies on his back holding his heart in his hand.
Because what he does is that he takes his hand, he does Kalima to himself,
Oh
and
my
like tries to rip the bug out.
Sticks his hand inside himself to grab the bug. Meanwhile, the father is alive and trying to kill Yukio, and he wants to kill Wolverine as well.
But there's this big, sword fight, like, ha, 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 and Wolverine's like,
it's that typical scenario where the lead character is in a very delicate situation where, like, the slightest, like, off-kilter, like, movement could kill him, but the bad guy busts in and it's up to the other good guy to, like, fight him and keep him at bay. Like, we've seen this in other movies.
But he rips it out, he, like...
oh, God, that scene just made me cringe.
Well, he didn't rip it out. He ripped he tore the insect thingy.
Yeah.
I know, but still, he cut open his chest cavity and reached his hand inside to rip it out. Like, ugh.
That's badass.
I know it's badass, but God, like that's just one thing about this movie. I don't know what they did, but like every time Wolverine gets stabbed or shot or whatever the hell. Like, you feel it. You feel, like, the pain, like, even though you're not experiencing anything. And just that one scene, I was like, ugh. Because, like, I could barely stand to watch, like, those hospital dramas with, like, they show that open heart surgery and stuff. And, like, just seeing that, ugh. Ugh. And it gets even worse later on.
Yeah. Alright, so he rips it out, like, he dies.
Yeah, they fake out.
They fake out his death. All of a sudden, he's back up. And,
There's so many fake outs in this movie. Stop doing fake outs.
No, the worst is like doing like is like what I've been seeing all year is with these drama fake outs where like, and especially happens in like comedies where like they go to like near the very end, like they do like something serious, like a character dies off, or you think the character is going to die, or like something mature, and it's like it's one of those scenes where it's like, okay, I see what you're doing, you're being okay, all right, mature enough, yeah, and then also it's like, oh no, it's not that, no, total fake out, no, they're fine. It's like,
but the thing is, it's like
why the fuck did you put it in there?
Doing that with a main character when there's still like 30 to 45 minutes left of the film, really stupid. You know they're gonna live.
Plus, from the TV spots, you know that Wolverine is gonna fight that giant silver samurai thing.
So it's like, stop it, or don't put those scenes in.
I mean, like, fake outs can work sometimes. I mean, like I said, with them supposedly killing Mariko, like, that was a genuine, like, you almost thought for sure they had killed her. So that was surprising that she lived.
Well, she's a love interest. She doesn't hold the same power that Wolverine has.
I know, but I'm saying cases like that, that's a good fake out. Or cases like with Pacific Rim, where you genuinely didn't know whether the guy would end up living or dying. Like, that was a good fake out. But, yeah, like early on in the movie, like, I'd say unless it's within the last 20 minutes, do not put a fake out. No. Because it looks way too obvious that
you know they're going to live.
Not going to die, yeah.
You know they're going to live.
Plus it's Wolverine.
Save the death for close to the end.
Plus it's Wolverine. I mean, it's like, do you really think they're going to kill Wolverine?
Nope.
When his main title is The Wolverine. Unless it's the last 5 minutes of the movie. Which it isn't. Mm-hmm. So they get to this, so they find where Mariko's hiding.
This big tower.
So they go to this tower.
Hilltop.
They go to this tower on a hilltop, and they find out that they've been constructing this giant silver samurai thing made entirely out of adamantium, and he battles it out, and Wolverine is fighting with it, and he's trying to use the claws.
Oh, he beats the crap out of Viper, too.
Yeah.
But the samurai, the silver adamantium samurai comes up, and he like slashes off Wolverine's claws,
which was kind of painful. I saw it, I'm like,
ah!
It's like, oh crap! There goes one of the claws, and then the other one gets cut off. It's like, ah!
But you see, like Mariko go and pick up the
one of the blades.
The two of them.
Yeah.
So you think that okay, in the end he's gonna get him back. But it doesn't quite work out that way.
No.
But so they have, essentially Wolverine is dangling off the outside of the building, because I guess a hole got blown in the wall.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. And so then comes the big reveal of who is in the suit.
Yeah, it was in fact Yashida himself.
Dun dun dun!
And I gotta say, I realized that the second that the armor started moving. Because they built up all of these clues leading up to it, talking about how the guy had put research into adamantium and gaining immortality and all that stuff like that. And then I saw this suit and I saw it moving like, no, they just didn't do that. Oh, they did it. They did it.
I was like, okay, that makes sense. But then he's trying to suck up all the immortality out of him through the broken...
Yeah.
Question. He is still a frail, sick, old man, right? At that point, while he's in the suit?
Yeah.
How the hell was he able to fight in that thing?
Because,
Maybe he's not as frail as he seems.
But...
because of the adamantium gave him strength? Sort of?
I guess, but it's
Or
like
perhaps he has, like
he falls.
controls.
He falls, through several dozen floors, and that doesn't knock him out or pop something loose or whatever.
Armor. It's adamantium, it's stronger, it's the strongest
That
element.
doesn't cushion a fall!
No!
Yes, it does!
Not unless he lined the armor with Tempur-Pedic cushioning. Saying, I can maybe understand if he had started doing the healing process, he had somehow managed to replicate Wolverine's healing power, but it wasn't quite complete without Wolverine's DNA, and that's what, made him young.
Yeah.
But the fact is, he's still a frail old man. It just doesn't make sense that he would be able to walk around in this heavy-ass armor. And fall
as I suggested, he might not have been as frail as he was made out to be. I mean, he did fake his death.
Yes.
He could have been.
But he's still an old man.
Yeah, but he might not have been, as fragile as you thought. He might not have actually been as diseased as everybody thought.
still say
it might have all been a ploy. He might.
I'm still arguing for the fact that it's the design of the suit that made him, that made him to move around so much.
But he's still an old man. He was, a teenager at most during Nagasaki?
Do you know how many
movies 2013?
Do you know how many movies that have old men that kick ass?
And you do realize this is X-Men.
Yes.
He's not a mutant!
So that doesn't stop people from, people who should be dying in these movies to not die.
That is true. It did take them forever to kill the father.
Yeah.
Seriously, that guy gets what? He gets acid sprayed in his face. He gets shoved underwater. He gets stabbed.
Yeah.
And it takes Wolverine stabbing him multiple times before he dies.
Yeah, remember we showed how good the father was.
The Japanese are indestructible!
We showed how good that the father was at kendo, and he was probably taught by Yoshida. So chances are Yoshida had some really good martial arts training and could have,
It's the radioactivity. It made him stronger.
could have, conditioned his body not to feel the pain.
I guess. I'm just saying.
I'm playing devil's advocate here. Mm-hmm. But in any case, the point is we have to suspend our disbelief to believe that is indeed him in there, that he's somehow healthy enough to be alive and operating this machinery and not getting him the crap beat out of him when he falls. Mm-hmm. Wow, we went off on a tangent there.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Well, I'm about to go on another one. Question. How is he able to absorb Wolverine's healing abilities? And
that actually kind of threw me in for a loop a little bit because Wolverine was born with it before the adamantium was put in. It's the way the movies interpret it. The comics interpret it differently.
I guess maybe he would absorb some of Wolverine's genes
Cause
He was absorbing all the adamantium because eventually what happens is the bones of the bone claws come out.
He was
and just,
sucking out like the bone marrow or something?
yeah, but the thing is, although it's not his original skeleton, it still contains traces of his DNA on it.
so he's sucking up the DNA.
Yeah, which contains the mutant genes.
I thought they were like all like in his cells, like not just his like blood. So.
Well, yeah, cells are all over the body.
And they have the.
I just figured like in his like skin cells and his organ cells and everything, not just his blood. So.
I think you can.
Well,
I think you can. I think there is DNA in the bone. I think you can extract like DNA. cells
Well, even
from the
no.
bone.
What I'm saying is because the claws keep coming and going out of him, they probably absorb some of his genetic material,
Yeah.
and therefore, if you absorb the adamantium of the claws or any other of the adamantium, it would contain traces of his DNA, of his genes, of his mutant genes.
Alright, I guess.
That's the only plausible way I see this working. But we are talking about science fiction here.
Doesn't mean we can't argue about it.
Yes, we can argue, but
Yes,
I'm finding plausibility in that. That is one area where I see complete feasibility. It's not proven, but it's plausible.
Okay.
Okay, I can go with
Yeah.
that. All right.
I'm seeing it from a scenario where it actually works.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So that...
Today.
So yeah, oh god, one of the most painful things. He puts in like these drills that go right
I know.
into his
It's like,
Okay, I was not as squeamish when Wolverine cuts himself and puts his hand in, but when they show the drills going in there...
Yeah, I saw it. I'm just like, ow.
Like this movie,
And
like,
he's hanging from the building on top of them, so it's like, ah.
like this movie's
No,
obsessed with making Wolverine hurt.
Yeah.
Like the worst had to have been during his fight with the father. Because he
Yeah.
gets impaled how many times? Through vital organs, no less? Like,
Yeah, and he just kinda, like,
I really had to, like, suspend my disbelief during those scenes. Because, like, I realize Wolverine's a fast healer and everything, but are you to tell me that he can still survive having a vital organ pierced that, would normally kill a person instantly? Like, his cells regenerate that fucking fast? Like, is his power that he heals fast, or is his power that he's immortal?
Well,
I think-
I'm gonna go into a nerd moment here, but I read this. This was sort of an Elseworlds tale with Astonishing X-Men during Ghost Boxes. They had a couple different universes. One in which Wolverine, Beast, and this other character, Armor, are, they're the survivors of this, like, apocalyptic thing. And essentially, like, Wolverine, his healing abilities have pretty much slowed down. And he continues to heal and everything. He continues to live. But, I think he loses a leg. And, he's having to be carried around in a wheelchair. And basically, the burden becomes so much that Armor eventually throws him into a bonfire. And he keeps healing, but, keeps healing and burning until finally his healing powers give out and he finally dies. So, I think it's just that his healing powers will have a finite limit, but at this point they haven't reached it, so whatever, part of his body gets, damaged, even if it's his heart, it will still regenerate, unless it's, like, continuously, hurt to the point where the healing can't work.
Alright.
I know I went off on a tangent there.
I know.
Yeah.
But that
We've done
was
it several
one-
times already, so.
That's
really.
one instance where I feel that
I'm just saying,
It
because like,
works.
there's one point where he gets like impaled through the heart,
Yeah, I was kind of
and,
like, wait,
and
what?
he was alive for what, a good 2-3 minutes after that.
Yeah, and he's just like,
It's like, is the thing beating still
I
around
think-
the sword? Is it healing around the sword?
I just think that his healing powers have been inconsistent, particularly in the movie.
we're almost like it's almost like borderline Deadpool
But-
healing powers.
but with-
where,
with
like
the-
like hacks off an arm, he just grows another one out. Like we're almost like Deadpool
With-
territory with the healing powers.
with
now.
comic books just keep doing this, where death is a toy to them, where powers just seem sort of inconsistent with their mechanics. I think probably it's because you get different writers who have different ideas of how they work.
and different ways of seeing
Yeah.
things.
So, I guess we've never gotten. I don't know because I'm not a consistent comic reader, but from what I've read, you get different ideas, and I think with Wolverine, it's just you've had different comic book writers write him, and none of them has ever adequately explained his origin or his healing abilities. The fucking bone claws. Oh, we're gonna get to the bone
bone
But here's,
claws.
I know, but here's the thing, though. I mean, going off of that, I mean, then you also have like the movies, and the movies are entirely different
Yeah,
from,
but they're
from the
supposed.
comics.
While
I
they're
guess they're
while
supposed
they're
to
different, but they're supposed to be drawing from the source.
They do, and in ways a lot of times they do draw from the source, but they also still have their own interpretation as to like the origin. I mean, even earlier this year when we saw Man of Steel, I mean, as much as we didn't like the movie, they still reinterpreted the origin of Superman in an entirely different way. So
I'll give you that.
You're always going to so a lot of the times in the case with superheroes, you're always going to see different interpretations of these superheroes, these modern day myths, because there's always some modern day legends, because there's always a change, because the legend always changes. So it's always going to be there, but the consistency of where the character's been and where they've gone, that's still going to be there, but the details might change here and there over time. So Wolverine survives. He still has the bone claws, but
Yeah, he somehow regrows the bone claws.
which
How does he regrow the bone claws? Okay,
why does he have bone claws to begin with?
I never understood that.
I'm really confused here. I thought they either replaced his whole bone structure with adamantium or coated it with adamantium.
It seems like they coated it with adamantium because in X-Men Origins Wolverine, he already had the bone claws. He was born with the bone claws. So I think when they put adamantium in it, they coated his entire bone structure with the adamantium.
So
Just to make it harder.
if they chopped off the claws, would the bone claws themselves have not been able to grow back?
Well, it didn't extract all the DNA from, the regenerative DNA from Wolverine. He still had it there. So maybe in the course of that regeneration, he was able to grow it back, maybe?
Maybe.
I'm trying to build off of your science that you
don't even know.
I guess of the same way.
That is where I completely have nothing because I just.
I guess it's in the same way he can be stabbed through the heart and his heart just doesn't give out or is able to somehow continue beating.
Like I
He
said,
just regrows them because he heals fast and that equals regrowing limbs and organs.
it's like I said, we're now at Deadpool, regenerative.
Let's just call him the chameleon.
Point is,
When are we going to get a Deadpool movie?
what we need is an explanation of the adamantium exoskeleton or skeleton. What is it? An exoskeleton or is it a skeleton?
I think it's a skeleton.
Is it? Was his whole skeletal structure taken out and the adamantium put in, or was his
skeletal structure coated with adamantium. Explain, movie! Explain!
I think you're confusing yourself with the movies and with other sources of Wolverine's origin, like the
That's
TV
the
show.
problem! That's the problem! What source are we drawing from? Are we drawing from the movies, or are we drawing from the comic?
I'm drawing from them. At this point, it's the movies. It's the movies we're drawing it from because this is like what the fifth, sixth X-Men movie now. Sixth X-Men movie. So at this stage in the game, it's the adamantium was coating his skeleton, because I remember watching the X-Men animated TV series when they did his origin, that the adamantium, like the blades, came from the adamantium itself. He didn't have the claws. He got the claws as a result of the adamantium.
That's what I thought how it
Yeah.
That's how I always thought how it was too.
He just happened to be an extraordinarily strong person with healing ability, and then
the healing ability, I think, was his mutation.
Yes.
And the claws
Was
were
the after effect
were with after
injecting-
the experiment.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how I always thought it was, but in the movies, like, no, he already had the claws. He had bone claws. It's like,
stupid. It's
Alright.
so stupid.
but anyway, but
So yeah, let's wrap this up before
Yes.
we hurt ourselves further.
Yeah.
So yeah, the guy is sucking up Wolverine's healing ability somehow. He almost has absorbed it all. Then
Mariko comes in, takes one of the adamantium blades, stabs him in the neck twice, and then
Wolverine kicks him down
He
the stairs.
rips off the
They
armor,
sever
stabs
it,
him,
yeah.
throws him off the building, and that's about it.
Yeah. And like I said, this is the roundabout way, which is I assume why they included Jean so much, is the fact that he had to kill someone that he originally saved.
Yeah.
You know, that was the whole theme, is that Wolverine has to deal with mistakes of the past where he thought he did a good deed and then end up having to undo it. So, yeah, that was the whole theme of the movie. Again, you know, like, everyone hates Wolverine. Everyone wants to kill him, even though he saves. So yeah, Mariko's now like the sole survivor of her family, because pretty much everyone's dead at this point, except for Yukiya.
And she's not actually her sister. She's
Just a
more like an
companion.
adopted sister.
Well, an adopted sister,
Yeah.
but so they get on the plane, they say goodbye, and they're off. And then, did you guys stay for this?
We did.
Yeah.
Okay, good. 'Cause I was even told to stay for this. So we were staying, and like I loved it because like people were getting up, and then all of a sudden it's like, huh? Oh wait, there's more. Flash forwards to 2 years later. He's in an airport. He's at an airport terminal. He's going through security. All of a sudden, like metal objects are starting to float about. The metal detector is going crazy because Magneto is right behind him. Everybody's like, what? And everybody in the theater is like, wait, it's Magneto, it's Ian McKellen, holy crap! and then Wolverine comes out, he whips out the bone claws. I'm gonna stress the bone claws because it's like, what are you gonna? So I'm like, what is he gonna do in the next movie? Is he like, are they gonna put the adamantium back in? Because otherwise, bone claws is just whatever.
Well,
so Magneto is there. Magneto's there. He's like, we need your help. No help, because the humans have developed a weapon that will destroy all of mutant kind. He's like, give me one good reason why I shouldn't help you. It's like, I don't think you need me to help you, because then, as Magneto is saying this, all the people around are starting to freeze, like time was frozen. So, and I'm looking around, I'm like, wait a minute, I've seen this before. I know what this means. So all of a sudden, and then Magneto's like, it's not just me that wants your help, and then all of a sudden, and then Professor X comes in!
Captain Picard!
Like, yes! He comes, and I'm just like, wait a minute. You're dead.
No, at the end of the third one, they show him, like, in limbo, sort of. Like,
and in fact, before the
They did.
credits of the third one, they show Magneto regaining his power.
the point is, this was foreshadowed. They showed Magneto his powers starting to come back a little bit, and they showed Professor X being in some sort of space area or something.
Hospital, something.
Like he was apparently like, you know.
Oh, wait. Okay, you're right. I remember this now.
Yeah,
I'm
this
sorry.
was the thing they told, like...
It's been a while since I remember this, because it's been a while
I think this was like the beginning of the stay after the credits.
Yeah, because I remember now. I totally forgot about that. Thank you guys. Oh my god, I'm such an idiot. That's right. He did because then he gets up out of the hospital and he's like, "Hello, whatever," and he's like, "Charles." I'm like, "Oh yeah," because he does. Because he has another body. I forgot about that.
I think that was what started the whole stay for the credits.
Yes. Yeah. That.
I don't know what to call it, but it's like the
end teaser?
Yeah.
The end teaser, yeah.
It's like, and so basically, Professor Xavier is like, we need your. It's like, he's like, we need your help. You're like, you're not the only one with gifts. And I'm just like, saying, to be continued in X-Men: Days of Future Past, because that's where it leads into. It's into the next X-Men movie, which comes out next summer, which I'm kind of looking forward to see because it's X-Men and time travel. So I'm just like, I hope they're not jumping the shark on this one because I mean, there's
I
a
don't
lot
think
of
so because I think they've done it in the comics and in the television series.
Yeah, but I mean, this is movies. This is.
By the way, this is a funny moment, but like when I saw like the metal start to move and everything, and then like Wolverine realizes what's happening, and then I saw like Ian McKellen, I'm like, "You shall not pass." And he could actually make it so he doesn't pass too.
But I got excited when I saw Charles Xavier. I'm just like, yes, he's back. I actually did this in the theater. Yes!
I knew he wasn't dead in the third one. Come on, you can't kill off Professor X. He's like Gene. He keeps coming back.
Because the fact that he's back, I'm like, yes, Patrick Stewart. He's back.
Well, what bothered me about the third movie is that he walked straight past his half-brother without them acknowledging each other, but that's an argument for another time.
So, yeah, that was Wolverine. Like I said, despite the moments, especially in the last half, that, like, really make you suspend your disbelief. Like,
no, that really lose your suspension of disbelief.
Yeah. It's a really enjoyable movie. Like, it's, you know, it is watchable. Like, there are times where it's slow, but like I said, you come for the Wolverine, you get the Wolverine. And it's him. It's Hugh Jackman, you know, doing what he does best.
Yeah.
And the action scenes are pretty cool, too. And like I said, the whole moments where he gets injured, like, you really do feel it. Like, to the point of being uncomfortable. But, and of course, like, the other characters, like, some of them were okay.
I liked Yukio. She was about the only good character.
Yeah,
she was cool.
Yeah.
Like, the rest of them are kind of transparent. Like, you can see who's going to be what role the minute you see them, so...
Yeah, and freaking Mariko's a dumbass in distress.
Yeah, in a way, yes. And, like, the twist was kind of surprising.
Kind of.
Like, in a way, I didn't see it coming at first, but once you see the suit of armor, then you pretty much figure it out.
It's like, oh, alright. Yeah, okay, whatever. Kind of makes sense. That's what it was. It was like, oh,
right.
Makes sense. Okay.
I still say it's better than Iron Man 3 and Man of Steel. Because at least this movie didn't have me, like, raging at point with, like, you know, how stupid it was. Because, granted, there are moments of stupidity, and there are moments, again, where, you know, logic just goes flat out the window.
Yeah, a lot of us, you know, despite our nitpicking, I mean, it still doesn't take away from the movie, though.
Yeah, it's still fun, it's still enjoyable, and it's the Wolverine. So, what more can you ask for?
Well, I initially thought it was worlds better than the other X-Men movies, aside from First Class, but that has its own problems. But, yeah, I mean, initially when I walked out of the theater, I'm like, oh god, this is so much better, I'm so happy. And then I got stuck in a traffic jam and had time to think, and I'm like, no, it's not a lot better. It's pretty much a little better than X-Men 3 or Wolverine Origins, but it's practically the same as watching them. It's fun to watch, but oh god, they're dumb. They are dumb.
But they're enjoyably dumb.
Well, that was the thing about X-Men 3. It's like there's one character that's really likable, and for me that was Beast. For me in this one it's Yukio, but it's like the movie itself is actually, when you go and look at it, it's so stupid. He's offered the chance at being mortal and getting to lead a normal life in exchange for giving this guy immortality who would just as soon have taken it from him anyway. So it's like, so you passed up the ability to lead an actually pleasurable mortal life to, you know, just be killed instantly and
But I don't know.
give him immortality anyway. And the villain's plot, the villain's plot is just so roundabout. It's like,
I think you feel like I think you're coming to terms that you don't like this movie now.
I don't hate it, but I don't think it was as good as I initially thought it to be, and I don't think it's much better. Like I said, I had time to think about it, and I realized just how stupid it is. So the initial thrill kind of wore off, and I took a look at it for what it really was.
But we could still argue that this is better than other superhero movies that we've seen this year, like Iron Man 3.
Yes,
Man
but
of Steel.
only by like a smidge. Only by like a smidge.
That's okay. That's okay. When we go see Kick-Ass 2, we'll be fine.
Hey, you still like Wolverine, right?
I still like, yeah.
Wolverine character.
I find that some of his ideas are stupid. I feel like he gets kind of bent out of shape about a bear being killed, and then, you know, he breaks his whole thing. For all of like 5 seconds he's not going to kill, but these stupid assholes are going to kill somebody, so he's like, nope, gonna break it, gonna kill them, don't want though, but gonna kill them.
The bears.
The bears, they killed the bears. Oh, I gotta kill them. Oh, I'm having a heart attack. Reach in and grab my heart.
I didn't know Rain Man was from Chicago.
the heart, the bugs. Oh, having a heart attack. Now we go to doubles. Doubles.
So I guess
Dustin Hoffman is the Wolverine.
Oh god.
No, I was going by an old Saturday Night Live.
I know, but you were kind of meshing the two.
So I guess what we can take from this is that as long as you don't think about the movie too hard, it's enjoyable.
Yeah, I guess this is a turn your brain off and it'll actually be fun.
This is see, that's the thing. This is one of those movies where, yeah, it's flawed, but I can easily turn the brain off. It doesn't really. It doesn't bother me as much.
That is true. I will give you that. It's like you actually can shut your brain off for this one.
I couldn't shut my brain off with Iron Man 3.
No.
I couldn't
shut my brain off.
I especially could not do that with Man of Steel.
No.
I just couldn't
because there were too many blatant issues, and they're essentially telling you to use your brain. This one is kind of like you go for the ride.
I mean, Wolverine, yeah. I mean, you can also say that with X-Men Origins Wolverine, but the kind of...
Yeah, but then again, the same can be said for the other, like, for X-Men 3.
Yeah.
It's stupid, but you have fun watching it.
It's stupidly fun. That's what...
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of action movies we've seen that are stupidly fun.
At least it's filmed and like acted well enough where you can overlook the stupidity at first glance.
Exactly, and
that's more you can say for Iron Man 3 and Man of Steel.
Exactly. That's the whole point of this. That's why I like this is the best superhero movie I've seen thus far. I mean, I know there's going to be others. There's at least 2 or 3 more superhero movies that are coming out later this year.
There we go. Thor.
There's Thor. There's Kick-Ass 2, and then there's this other one that's coming out in October called Sparks or something or whatever. It's kind of weird.
I haven't heard of that one,
but I mean, that's what I like about it. I mean, yes, yeah, it's stupid, but I can at least shut my brain. It's not stupid to the point where it enrages me and gets me thinking. But here, it's like I don't have to think about it so much. I can just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, like I said, I could shut my brain off during it, but afterward, when I actually thought about it, it's like, oh, it's really stupid.
It's that traffic jam's fault. You should blame
it. It is that traffic jam's fault.
So yeah, before we go off on any more tangents and any more nerd rage, probably wrap this up. So I do say definitely give it a watch, especially if you're an X-Men fan. It is,
or if you're just a Wolverine fan,
right?
Yeah.
Or a Wolverine fan, so it definitely will satisfy you with what they present for the most part.
Yeah.
So, and you guys,
pretty much.
Yeah.
Said it.
okay. So until next time, I'm Cat T Critic.
I'm Y2 Staller.
I'm one Sat Morn.
And now I'm about to